It's finally here. We have the RX 5700 and the RTX 2060 Super. So what are we waiting for? Let's get started. Hey, what's up guys, Yusuf here from TechDroids and welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. And finally, we have the two latest GPUs from NVIDIA and AMD, the RX 5700 and the RTX 2060 Super. So in this video, let's unbox them, find out what you get in the box. So I'll play the clip as I'm talking and also talk about the specs, some of the new features, highlights, and what these cards bring with them. And in the mix, we'll also compare the RX 5700 to its current competition, which is the RTX 2060 Super. Now I say current because the RX 5700, when it was going to be launched originally, was going to go against the RTX 2060, so the non-super variant. But the leaks and rumors were out, and NVIDIA just decided to launch the RTX 2060 Super, or the whole Super series, to stay on the hype, one, and two, to be above AMD in terms of performance. And if you're right now in a store, deciding between these two, and if you want the better card, the better performing card, which will give you more FPS in most games, go with the RTX 2060 Super. But there's more to it than just FPS in this comparison. So let's talk about it. And in my opinion, there's no clear-cut winner here. They both have their advantages and disadvantages. So in this video, let's talk about them. So first up, here's the unboxings for you.
Say sorry. Oh, maybe I'll leave, baby, but I never will. No, so I choke you down just like a pill.
Now talking about the designs of the card first, this is more inspired from Vega and just the previous generation cards. So AMD is still sticking to their guns with the blower style. The back is exposed. Now this is the reference card, so brands will come out with their custom cooling options and their custom designs. But for now, no matter which brand you go for, Power Color, Sapphire, ASUS, Gigabyte, all of them will give you this reference design with the Radeon logo and this kind of card. But with the RTX 2060 Super, you're getting all premium design. So this has that dual fan design. You also have LEDs on top, so this GeForce RTX logo glows. And also you have a custom backplate, and you can see it's all metal, like it's very seamless, very premium design, and you can't really see any electronics. So you're definitely getting more when you pay the extra price. And talking about the overview, as I said, dual fan and stuff, but this only takes one 8-pin PCI connector. So this is rated at 175 to 180 watts of total board power, whereas this is going to be 185 watts. This starts at 175 and this is starting at 185. So you can see that in the long term, this is going to be better in terms of power consumption as well as thermals. A blower style card is having its advantages, so it takes out all the hot air and pushes it towards the back of your case. But thermals are affected when you have a blower card. So better cooling and better thermals will come when there are third-party designs. Whereas with NVIDIA, even with their design, cooling and thermals, acoustics, all of those things are pretty good. And you also have custom board partners, their cards, they also look pretty good. Now talking about the specs, both these cards are very similar to each other. So both of them are targeted towards the mid-range audience. so 30,000 to 40,000 rupees. I'll leave the pricings down below. Now the RTX 2060 Super has a bundle up its sleeve, so you can get Wolfenstein and Control, so 2 games worth $120 free with this card. Now that makes the whole deal a lot more appealing, and you're definitely getting a lot more value. But if you're just deciding over value for money and price to performance, and if this offer is not available to you in the future, or if you're buying from some other brand, then I would suggest go with the RX 5700. It's a little cheaper and also has that price to performance. But both these cards are having their pros and cons, and there's no clear-cut winner. Now talking about specs, both these cards come with 8 GB of GDDR6 memory. This is 14nm process and based on the Turing architecture, and AMD is using their new RDNA architecture and a 7nm process. So definitely this is the newer technology, but that doesn't really translate into real-world performance. But this also has PCI 4.0 support, but as I said, the increased bandwidth does not result in more performance. Now here are the clock speeds for these cards respectively. Now the RTX 2060 Super comes with 2176 CUDA cores, has a base clock of 1470 and goes up to 1650 on the boost. The AMD RX 5700 has a base clock of 1465, a game clock of 1625 and a boost of 1725. Now with thermals in consideration, you won't be getting the exact clock speeds mentioned on their page, so it'll vary from person to person. That's why I'm not quoting on anything. Now with the clock speeds out of the way and the specs out of the way, let's talk about outputs. So the RX 5700 is having 1 HDMI and 3 display ports and no USB Type-C here. Now future VR equipments and also modern day monitors have USB Type-C ports, so I don't know why AMD skipped on that. Now talking about the RTX 2060 Super, you have the USB Type-C port, you also have DVI. You have 1 less display port, so 2 display ports and 1 HDMI, but you can use the USB Type-C port to power maybe another monitor with the adapter or something. Now with the unboxing, specs and design out of the way, let's talk about performance numbers and positives and negatives of each card. Now I'm not really good at benchmarking, and I don't have the proper hardware, so I usually talk about the technological improvements and stuff, but I'll be using Paul's hardware's benchmarks as a reference to compare these two cards, so huge shout out to them. But with that being said, talking about the RTX 2060 Super first, this has RTX on its side. It has it in the name, and ray tracing, you guys might say that it's not up to the market, it's not supported by all the games, but it's just been a year since ray tracing has been introduced to us, and a lot of games have been supporting it or trying to support it, and a lot of games will be coming in the future that will support it or make use of it in some way or the other. And it's not only games, designing softwares, editing softwares, all softwares do make use of ray tracing in some other way in the future, and that'll definitely help. And currently a few games that do support it, the RTX 2060 Super will be able to play them at 1080p with RTX on, giving you at least 60 FPS for sure. If you have things that can make use of this technology, these cards are definitely worth it for you. And a lot of games will be coming out in the future, in the next 2 years, that'll make use of real-time ray tracing in some way or the other and improve your experience and performance at the end of the day. As well as NVIDIA is just good with VR. The USB Type-C port is for VR equipment, and the VR performance on Radeon side is not that really good. And yeah, if you're into VR, this is the card to go for. And also you have the better software on NVIDIA side. I think GeForce experience is kind of better than Adrenaline or Radeon software, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, it's just more intuitive. Also NVIDIA has better thermals and better cooling out of the box. We're not talking third-party cards, we're talking about reference design. So the RX 5700 is not really good with that single blower fan when it comes to thermals. And also power consumption is low, taking the long run into the consideration, because it is pretty similar in terms of power consumption. This is 185 watts, this is 175 to 180 watts, but in the long run it'll definitely make a difference. You're definitely saving some power and some money on your electric bill. Let's talk about RX 5700. This has a few things up its sleeve as well. So PCI 4.0 being one major thing, but the extra bandwidth does not help in terms of performance. So I don't know how to analyze that. Let me know, you guys let me know how you can use PCI 4.0 on these cards and maybe get some extra performance or something like that. This is based on the 7nm process and also supports their RDNA architecture, so changes things, the inside working of the GPU, divides the work into 2 batches and uses more of the GPU, takes less power and gives you more performance. And that definitely is true, because AMD was non-existent in the mid-range or higher end range of graphics cards, and they're finally out with 2 new options. And that's not it, more Navi cards will be coming out very soon, so to compete against the 2080 Ti or their higher end cards. But with RX 5700, AMD is trying to tackle with the general problems, so lag and screen tearing and stuttering and just these problems that have been there for a long time. NVIDIA is trying to deal with them, AMD is trying to deal with them. They have things like anti-lag and game cache and game clocks and things like that. So yeah, definitely there is some improvement, and AMD is definitely head to head now. They don't beat the RTX 2060 Super in any way in terms of performance as well, but they're definitely coming close and trying to get a foothold in the GPU market. Touching upon gaming performance and benchmarks, the RTX 2060 Super is definitely better across the board. There are certain games that do better on the RX 5700, especially in 1440p, but if you're looking for more FPS in most of the games, RTX 20 Super it is. If you're looking for more FPS across the board in most of the games, 2060 Super is the way to go. The RX 5700 is also not like way behind in terms of the numbers. It's definitely close, it's definitely head to head, giving some good competition. But if you're looking for just bare numbers, the FPS, this is the card to go for. And the RX 5700 and the 2060 Super are definitely aimed at 1440p gaming. This also aims at 1080p RTX gaming. So yeah, here are the benchmarks. Now to conclude this video, if you're in a store, deciding between these two cards, and if you don't mind spending the extra money and want the better FPS, the better performing card, you want better VR, you want RTX, go with the 2060 Super. But if you're trying to just get into the mid-range GPU market, you just want a good GPU, no bells and whistles, and price to performance, value for money, and you want the GPU to be cheaper, go with the RX 5700. That's about it for this video, guys. A huge shout out to Paul's Hardware. I've been using his benchmarks throughout the video as a reference to compare these two cards. So a link to his channel and the video will be down below, so check him out. Also, huge thanks to Daniel from NVIDIA for sending this card out my way for review. And RX 5700 was provided by Vikas from Ankit Infotech. I'll leave the pricing in the comments and the description down below, and his store details will be linked down below, so you can definitely get it from Ankit Infotech. It's located in SP Road, Bangalore. They can also deliver stuff to you all over India, and they'll help you build your PCs, give you a free assembly, and the experience itself is going to be better. With that being said, like this video if it was helpful, and if you enjoyed it in any way, go ahead and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. It's been a long video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.